You know what they say about entrepreneurs, right? Fearless, born risk takers with billion-dollar ideas. Well, I'm Phil Smythe, and this is part of my MBA for Entrepreneurs series. Here's the truth. That whole narrative about fearlessness, it's mostly nonsense. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain and separate fact from fiction and show you what entrepreneurship is really about. You're not just going to hear about glitz and glam in this course. We're diving into struggles, the surprises, and the lessons no one talks about. And whether you're already hustling or just thinking about starting, stick around, because what you learn today could save you years of trial and error. Let's start with the first myth. Entrepreneurs are born, not made. You've probably heard this 100 times, that entrepreneurs have some rare magic gene that sets them apart. But the truth? Entrepreneurship is a skill set, not a birthright. Think about it like writing software. Nobody comes out of the womb knowing how to write in Ruby on Rails. You practice, you refine, and eventually you get good. Entrepreneurship works the same way. Successful entrepreneurs are people who practice every day, whether it's learning to pitch an idea, managing finances, or just figuring out how to stay motivated when nothing is going right. Let me give you an example from my own life. Back in 2005, I was visiting friends in London, and on their table, I noticed a DVD in an envelope from a company called Love Film. This was before streaming was a thing, and it hit me. Where I lived in southern Spain at the time, finding good movies to rent on DVD was almost impossible. DVD rental by mail seemed like the perfect solution for that problem, and I thought, how hard can it be? Turns out it was harder than I thought. If you ever hear me say how hard can it be, you know we're in trouble. I ended up writing an entire rental management software system from scratch and stuffing DVDs into envelopes in the garage with my wife, and we shipped them out ourselves. It was chaotic, it was messy, but I learned so much about what it takes to turn an idea into reality. And as a side note, that project introduced me to Netflix, which I decided to buy stock in 2007, which was like the best decision ever. According to a study by Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, most entrepreneurs worldwide started their ventures without formal experience. They learned as they went. So if you're waiting for some magical sign that says you're ready, I've got some bad news for you. You'll never feel 100% ready. Start small, make mistakes, and learn on the go. Here's another big one. Entrepreneurs are fearless risk takers. Sounds cool, right? But in reality, successful entrepreneurs are more like calculated risk takers. Think of it like investing in stocks. Smart investors don't just throw their money at the next big thing and hope for the best. They study the market, look at the fundamentals, and then decide. Entrepreneurs do the same thing, or they should. They're not jumping off cliffs, hoping a parachute magically appears. They're building the parachute as they climb. And take the concept of risk-return trade-off. Entrepreneurs weigh their decisions just like investors do. You might not have all the information, but you can make the best decision with what you've got. It's not about being fearless, it's about being smart. Here's a practical example. Paul Reed Smith, the founder of PRS Guitars, took a bold but calculated approach to enter the market dominated by giants like Fender and Gibson. In the mid-1980s, he began building guitars one at a time, ensuring every instrument met his exacting standards. Instead of scaling up immediately, he sought feedback from professional musicians, including Carlos Santana, who became an early adopter and an advocate for PRS guitars. This deliberate strategy of testing the waters and building credibility allowed him to launch PRS guitars in 1985 and carve out a niche in that competitive guitar market. That's calculated risk in action. Another myth. You've got to come up with the next Facebook or Tesla to be an entrepreneur. But guess what? Entrepreneurship isn't about invention. It's about execution. Ideas are cheap. Everybody's got one. The difference is that entrepreneurs act on their ideas. They bring them to life. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, you just need to make a better one or find a better way to use it. Franchising is a great example of this. Entrepreneurs like Ray Kroc didn't invent hamburgers and he didn't invent McDonald's. but he scaled it into a global empire. Similarly, taking ideas from one geographic location and adapting them to another can be a powerful form of entrepreneurship. Many successful businesses have started by observing a proven concept in one market and localizing it to their own community. This approach doesn't require invention, just the insight to see the opportunity and the drive to execute. Execution beats invention every time. Here's another damaging myth, that of the lone wolf entrepreneur. The reality is that successful entrepreneurs know how to collaborate. You've heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It's cliché because it's true. The best entrepreneurs build networks, seek mentors, and surround themselves with people who challenge and support them. Consider Youve, the founder of Patagonia. Youve didn't just focus on building a company, he built a community. He worked closely with like-minded environmentalists and outdoor enthusiasts to create products that reflected their shared values. This collaborative approach not only defined Patagonia's brand, but also set a standard for businesses that aim to prioritize purpose alongside profit. Entrepreneurship is a team sport, not a solo act. Most people think you need a perfect plan before you start. But in the real world, it's all about the act, learn, build cycle. You take action, you learn from the results, and you use what you've learned to build something better. Contrast this with the traditional analyze, act approach, where people spend so much time planning that they never actually do. Entrepreneurship rewards those who act first and figure it out along the way. Take Airbnb's founders. They started by renting out their air mattresses in their apartment during a conference. It wasn't glamorous, but it taught them what customers wanted. They acted, they learned, and then they built the platform we know today. Just to clarify here, act, learn, build does not mean don't analyze or research. Doing analysis of the market, your competition, and many other things is a vital act that separates posers from performers. I suffer from ADHD, and doing analysis first, looking before I leap, is one of the hardest things I've had to discipline myself to do. Now, let's get real. Entrepreneurship is not all sunshine and rainbows. It's hard. You'll face rejection, self-doubt, burnout. There will be days when you question everything, and I mean everything. But here's the thing. Every entrepreneur faces these challenges. What sets successful ones apart is how they deal with them. They don't give up, they adapt. For example, Howard Schultz was rejected by over 200 investors before getting the funds to turn Starbucks into a global brand. Imagine if he'd stopped at rejection number 50. Where would we go for our $10 lattes? Persistence is key. If there's one truth about entrepreneurship, it's this. It's not about being fearless, brilliant, or lucky. It's about being adaptable, persistent, and willing to learn. Entrepreneurs aren't superheroes. They're just people who decided to try. So whether you're dreaming of starting something or you're already knee-deep in the grind, remember this. You don't have to have it all figured out. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. The rest, it'll come. And maybe some of it will even come from me on this YouTube channel. And if you're ready to dive deeper, don't forget to like, subscribe, bell notification, and comment your thoughts. That really helps. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.